So here we are. We are pulling up to the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market. Gonna pick up a bucket of flowers.
Hi! Alright, so today I'm here, as you saw in the introduction, to show you a little design and tell you a little bit more about Seattle Wholesale Growers Market. They have a bucket that they do. I think it's a special for $70. I'm not sure exactly on the price, but you can check out their website or email them for more info. And it's www.seattlewholesalegrowersmarket.com. So I'm just going to show you a nice little design. We've got a full bucket here of really good stuff. So we're going to dig in and I'll tell you a little bit about each of these flowers. Keep in mind it is a grower's choice bucket, so you kind of get what they have on special for the week. So, you know, instead of these flowers, you could get something very different. But I'm going to just show you a little bit and tell you a little bit about these flowers that they chose for me. And we'll go ahead and get started, okay? All right. So first we're going to start off with the Geum. Now I haven't prepped these at all. These are just straight out of the bucket. And a good tip is to make sure you remove any of the foliage that you're going to be working with that's going to be below the water line. These are pretty good. I think they're all pretty okay. I don't see any leaves that are going to go down and cause any issues. When you have the leaves that are getting into the water, it'll really make your water mucky a lot faster. You're going to want to take those off because otherwise, you know, mucky water, it breeds bacteria, and bacteria will make your flowers die a whole heck of a lot faster. And that's one way that you can kind of keep your arrangement a little bit longer. Okay, so Geum. Geum's a really cute family. It's in the rose family. I believe it's commonly called Avens. So this little guy's really cute. You can see, and I've seen them in yellows and a couple other colors. But you can see they're a little bit, they look like little tiny roses. I'm trying to get it to focus on the rose flower portion. I don't know if you can see. Okay. Anyways, that's them. They're very cute. We also have Freesia. These are a little bit shorter. Did not realize these were this short. But they are still beautiful and they smell absolutely amazing. So I'm going to take these out so you can see what they look like on a single stem. So that's a Freesia. And you can see it's kind of a shorter stem. Sometimes they are a little bit longer stems, but I think since this was, you know, the grower's choice bucket, these are the Freesia we can work with. And what's nice about Freesia, if you get a bloom that's a little bit spent, you can just pop it right off and look at that. You got a few more to go. You can see this one's going to even bloom even further out. So that's nice. They last quite a long time in a vase. And I think they smell really good. So that's the Freesia. And they come in a lot of different colors too. I'll have links. Actually, I'll have descriptions of the flowers and the scientific names below. It's always super important to know the scientific name of the variety and species you're working with, because if you use common names, there are a lot of similarities between the two. So, you know, you may be working with something and calling it something that might not actually be its true name. And that can get a little dangerous if you don't know exactly what you're working with or the properties of it. Sometimes you can get things that are poisonous that have the same names. So you just want to be really careful when working with botanicals. You want to know what you're working with, and you want to make sure that you don't have any children or pets that are going to be getting into your flowers or flower arrangements, just for safety. You know, you never know. So these are Ranunculus. These I'm sure everybody knows, they're super popular. And they gave me a mixed bunch. So you can see these are really great. I'm happy for these. Okay, and then we've got the Allium. These are so fun. I love them. They're kind of a little bit more difficult to design with because they're definitely more of a, you can use them like as a line flower, which means you can create a line with it because they have a really long stem usually, and there's not much to it. So it's a very straight, usually straight line that you can work with. But then in mass, like if you bunch them together, they look really great too. So there's a couple of different things ways you can think about working with them. They're called Allium and they are in the onion family. So there are like, I think over 700 species in the onion family that are related to this. Don't quote me on that. But they're a great flower. They do smell like onion when you cut them. So just be aware, don't freak out if you start smelling some onion. That's those guys. This is Viburnum. A lot of people know it as Snowball Tree, and these are great. I love the foliage on it. You can take it off and just have the little snowballs, or you can, leave it and kind of have the foliage make your arrangement look a little bit more full. The Snowball Viburnum is actually called Viburnum opulus. And again, if you're questioning the scientific names, just check below. I'll have them all described for you. This is so pretty. I love these little guys. They almost look like forget-me-nots, but it's called Alkanet. It's in the borage family, so it's a little bit fuzzy. I don't think you can see it, but if you look closely, there's the stems are very fuzzy. And the root of Alkanet actually is used to make dye. So it's kind of a fun one. Something you don't see every day. We all know who this pretty lady is. I got, I think, probably the last tulip of the season. And it is just absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. So that is gorgeous. Tulips gained popularity at about the 1600s. They were used as currency in a lot of Dutch markets because they were so popular, and just, a lot of the wealthy people could afford tulips. So it's a really fun fact. This is artichoke foliage. So they gave me 2 of these and they're amazing. They do not like to be left out of water, so keep that in mind. They do give you a bucket for these flowers with the purchase, so keep them in the bucket. Give them a fresh cut when you get home. If you're not going to work with them right away, make sure you're taking care of your blooms before you work with them. You can prep them a little bit. I have some other prepping videos that I'm going to prepare for you as well. And keep them cool if you can, like a cool place. They don't need to be in the fridge or anything like that. If you do have like a cooler area like the garage, that's a great place for flowers to sit. Or an air-conditioned area, that works too. So now we're going to move on to the vase, and I'm going to show you a few techniques that I use just when I want to throw something together. It's a pretty simple technique. I chose this vase because I thought it was very garden style, so we're kind of going to do something a little more garden style. It's not going to be very structured for this video. And what I used today, so you can purchase these from Syndicate Sales. It's the Holly Chapel line, and it's basically a grid that you can get, and that works great. Just sits right on top. You can use a little tape to tape it down, and you're ready to go. I'm not going to use that today. I'm going to stick with this. This is my chicken wire that I've made into a nice little grid. You can ball it up. You can just kind of make it into a sausage, whatever works for you. This is a really old tried and true technique. You just put it right in. If you're thinking about moving this or transporting it, I would totally recommend taping it down. I'm not going to tape it down today, but if you were, you would just take your waterproof tape, because this is kind of a more of a porous, I think it's cement. The tiny clear tape is probably not going to stick because it's a little bit more porous. So the waterproof tape is the way to go for this kind of a container. And since it's green, it's gonna blend in pretty well, so you won't really even see it. So I would just tape one side and maybe the other side, and you'd be ready to go. Didn't grab any extra foliage, so we're gonna definitely make sure we use the Viburnum because that has a lot of foliage on it. We're definitely gonna start with this artichoke. I'm gonna need to cut it down because it's huge. Like I said before, take off all the leaves that are gonna be down in the water. Kind of gonna make these go a little bit taller because I think it's fun. And then we're gonna go a little crazy on the other side to balance it. We're gonna make a nice balanced design here with these two pieces being the focal on, let's see if I flip it around, that's gonna be the left for you. All right, so we're gonna keep those on the left because they look good right there. And it's great how this just makes a perfect little grid for you. You don't have to do anything else. If you're a little more advanced, you can totally try using a floral frog. I'm going to do a separate video on floral frogs blah, blah, later. I think they are really fun to use. They are eco-friendly. So, you know, there's so many different kinds of floral frogs. Oh, look at these. Aren't they so cute? I love them. So we're just going to continue adding them, and we can add them tall. I'm going to add a few over here just for accent. And I love how green they are. And the color palette for this bucket, it's kind of just more of a multicolor. There's no specific color palette. It's kind of, you know, we have orange, we have hot pink, we've got blue, we've got purple, and, you know, of course green. Green is the neutral. Green's always a blender in arrangements usually. And put them in the front, making sure not to have those leaves in the water, but kind of giving them free rein to go in the front and cover up the vase a little bit more. And that's always the case. You're gonna find they're gonna fight with you. They're gonna do what they wanna do, and you're just gonna have to deal with that. Sometimes if somebody doesn't wanna go where you want it to go, just take it out, set it aside. It may not get to come to the party, but you know, maybe by the time you're getting towards the end, you can figure out a way to incorporate it back in and it will behave. That's kind of my 2 cents on don't get frustrated, just keep going and it will come together better than you had hoped. Go. Everybody's playing really nice today. And see how that just kind of nicely filled in the part where you could see the lip of the vase? Because you don't want that particularly showing. And I'm gonna probably put that Freesia in the front too because it's very short. I just wanna make sure and get these guys in their little spots before I forget about them up there. That does happen sometimes. And this is a good variety of flowers and it's a nice way to get something that you haven't really played with before. So, you know, it's got a little bit more variety than your average bunch from like Trader Joe's. You can't even see my face, I'm like talking to you. So this has a lot more variety, like I said. It's a good way to get some experience if you're a beginning designer. This is totally something I would recommend doing, is grabbing one of these awesome market buckets and just playing. Like, it's just really fun to create something for yourself. Or heck, you could give it to your neighbor or somebody that needs a little cheering up. Always fun to get flowers, and it's always really fun to give flowers. I think that's more my favorite part than anything. I'm just kind of filling in a little bit of the areas that needed some. And when you're creating, it's better to group things. So if you can group things, see I have an area here, I kind of made an area here, and I made a few areas back here. It gives you a lot more visual impact when you're working in a design, so you can see your eye is drawn to it a little bit easier. Let's add our little rock stars here. We're gonna add these little babies. There's enough foliage. Usually if there's not enough foliage, you can't get something to stand up quite straight. I think we're doing good. I'm just gonna get those a little bit, get some height moving through. It's good to make sure you have a variance of height, otherwise your arrangement will kind of just be round and not have a whole lot of movement throughout. Your eye will probably not be drawn to any one area more than the other. So you can see I've kind of given them some dynamic areas to stay. And this one is like a mix between the yellow and the bright pink, so I think we're gonna put this one down below give it a little bit more of a spotlight. It's a very pretty color. It's like almost a salmon pink. So we have our Ranunculus in, and I'm kind of thinking this doesn't really have a front or a back because it's so, I like the shape it's taking right now. I think this is great. And the Alkanet, they tend to get a little spotty, but they're doing great. They hold on a very long time. Gonna add these and let them do their crazy little thing. Yeah. Don't really like the angle. Okay, we're gonna do some shorter pieces. I'm gonna cut this down. Actually, you know what you can do with these? You can also cut, you want a really low piece, you could probably cut right there. And now you have a very long piece and you have a short piece. So that's totally something you can take advantage of there. Just kind of continuing on adding the rest of this in, giving it some drama in the front. And the last couple pieces are gonna go back here. If you like what we're doing so far, hit the like button. That would be really awesome because this is kind of a newer channel and I'm just kind of, you know, we're growing. Okay, that was so cheesy. I won't do it again, I promise. But yes, if you like what we're doing, give us a like below, thumbs up. I'm just adding the last Alkanet here that was in the bunch. Giving it a little bit of drama. Okay, so now we have some room for our allium, and you're starting to actually not be able to see the chicken wire, so that's always a positive. So you can kind of see down in there, but not too much, so we're getting there. It's almost finished. What kind of containers do you have at home to work with? I would love to hear about what you love to see. Do you like the footed compote style, or are you kind of more of a classic vase kind of person? And you know, we can always do some more design in different vessels. So let me know in the comments if you want to see a different kind of vase used. These are so much fun. Love them. Little Dr. Seuss flowers. And another tip when you're cutting, if you need to figure out how the stem, like if you're having a hard time determining like stem length, what you can do is line up your stem with where the bottom of your vase would be. And let's say I wanted this one to be, I want this allium to kind of go here. So we're gonna measure the bottom of the vase where it would be inserted, and then you kind of have a place to cut. So see, if I wanted that there, I would kind of cut it like right there. And you can always take more off if you're a little bit unsure. See, I think that needs to go a little bit lower, so you can take it back out, cut off maybe another inch, and then place it. And that's kind of how you can determine what stem length should be. Really good trick for that if you're a little unsure. Because you can't add more back on, you can always take more off. I think it's really fun. And you can see how I kind of made a line with it. And it's an odd number, which we all kind of basically know that odd numbers are better in design. If you didn't know that, you probably instinctually do it regardless, because our perception is geared towards multiples of 3, 5, and then the proportion goes to 8. So it's basically the Fibonacci sequence is what you're going to be playing with. And that, you know, it goes from everything. That's a deep dive into like very intermediate design, is to work with the Fibonacci sequence. I can't even say it anymore. But then you get into scale and proportion based on breaking things up into 3, 5, 8. And I know that was a very basic explanation, but just kind of know that if you work in things with odd numbers, it's going to be a lot more pleasing to the eye. They're tiny. They're so cute. This one's not playing nice. Like I told you, it happens. There we go. That's where you want it to be. It's in. All right. This is getting big. I can't move. And now we just have the little baby gems and our nice tulip left. So I want this to kind of be the star over here. And don't be weirded out if your tulips don't do what you want them to do. They are notorious for that. They are phototropic, and so phototropic means that they will go to where the light takes them. They will follow the light. Boom, there's our tulip, front and center. And now I'm just gonna add our nice little baby gems because they're so cute. And these, I think we're just gonna delicately put them in places that need some filling. It's a little bit hard with this color. These colors don't exactly make it easy, which is challenging. It still looks really pretty. It kind of just has all the colors. And you can't even see me. It's so awkward. Okay, I'm gonna push that over a little bit. You can see me just kind of adding, and my vase is getting pretty full, so it's a little bit harder to find a good spot to put things. I'm trying. That's what happens when you get too many stems going in. You have to fight with it a little bit more. So I hope this gives you guys something to do during quarantine. I know it's a really weird time, but I think this has been a really good thing they're offering at the market to, you know, you can go out and play in your garden too. Like go grab some stuff out of your yard if you need things to add to it. I think I'm gonna add some extra branches to this to make it a little bit taller, because I think it's super dramatic, but I would love a little bit more line to it. So just, you know, do what you need to do to make it what you want and add as what, you know, it is art. So there's no wrong way to do art. I mean, unless you're really destroying the flowers, but you know, at this point they're in the water, they're in a vase, they're doing great. So there's not really anything you can mess up here. And the more you practice, the easier it gets. That one's really pretty. So pretty. I think I want this one to go out a little bit so you can say hi. It just doesn't want to go in though. There we go. My little bird friend up there, he has to hang out with me when I shoot videos because he's so noisy. But he has a good time in here, so he doesn't seem to mind. Now, if I had one more, I would put one here. But this is my last one, and the bucket's empty. It's so cute. Okay. Alright, everything's been added. The bucket is empty. So, we are all done. And I just noticed they did have floral food in here. So, awesome. Floral food's very important. And I forgot to say that in the beginning, but you should definitely have a packet of floral food in your vase. The kind you can get from the grocery store, or if you can pick up a little container of it. I also have it linked below in my shop if you're interested in more floral design products. I have that down below. And yeah, so this is it. This is the final spin. Let's give it a good couple spins. I think it looks great. I hope you guys agree. Let me know in the comments, like I said, if you have a different vase you would like to see a different shape done maybe next time. And thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me creating a design. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.